Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praise to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles, a great millstone who are teaching this truth with sincerity. And a shout out to Yakim and Yaquat that are listening and going out there and teaching this truth. Brakat the Yahweh, Brakat the Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakadash, Brakat them. So, out here another week, prophesying the downfall of Babylon the Great, also known as America, Basra in the scriptures, pretty much the high place of Esau, Edom, and their downfall. And you can see, though, that all these countries together, which is why they took down my video yesterday, after I had already premiered it, they took it down not long afterwards because pretty much I went into the scriptures and how it was true that all these countries are buying the S-400 systems, that Magog is now being a guard unto them. You know, Elam has it, aka India. Iraq has bought them. Turkey has been buying them and refuses to give up. And so Donald Trump is threatening them with sanctions, as if, you know, his sanctions, because look at what they've done to Iraq already. You think that Iraq is afraid of more repercussions? No, man, they want protection. And these S-400 systems will give them protection from the United States and their captivity. You know, because Iraq has been under captivity for quite a while, you know, via the U.S. military. So, of course, they're looking to purchase the S-400 systems, and they have a deal going. And Esau doesn't like it. You know, Magog's being a guard unto all these places. Libya has them, you know. I wouldn't be too surprised if Yemen starts buying them soon, too. You know, and Hezbollah, of course, Lebanon having them, you know, because this missile defense system is ready to take on Amalek, you know, because we know that Amalek still flies into Syria, into Iraq, and does bombing raids to terrorize the people of Syria, you know. And when you start bringing out those facts, you start telling the truth about things that are going on, you know, or you might call a false flag, you know, like this whole Virginia thing, nothing more than a false flag, you know, to get the guns, you know, totally staged. But you see how they're destroying the world piece by piece. And Australia is burning down, which they're purposing that. Yeah, a lot of people in Melbourne may have to flee into the ocean because of the fires that Esau started there. And we know that Esau started them, just like they started the car fire here. You know, we know that it was a well-designed plan, of course, because they're causing world events. See, something has to happen in order to get everybody on that microchip system. To even want the microchip system, there has to be a world economical crash. There has to be disasters everywhere, which is what FEMA is, Federal Emergency Management Agency. So, you know, by causing disasters and all that, getting everybody ready, you know. And then you have the U.S. military pretty much, they're going to be moving into Saudi Arabia. They're not going to be in Iraq anymore. Iraq doesn't want them there anymore, so they'll be moving into Saudi Arabia. And isn't that what Apostle Tahar has been saying the entire time? That that's the Valley Yahushua. It'll be right there in Saudi Arabia to fight this war, which will be the war to end all wars for Esau, Edom. It is the Most High that's gathering all these nations in there and pleading with them for Yashallah, for our sake, you know, for the elect of Yashallah, you know. And we, the elect, have been coming forth for quite some time. And no, those of us that are diligent do not want to be spewed out, you know. The Most High knows who's diligent and knows who isn't, you know. Not letting anything become any excuses, you know. I still haven't downsized everything, but that didn't stop me from getting on the camera. And hey, my video got taken down yesterday, but that still didn't stop me, you know. I just put it on Daily Motion, so check it out on Daily Motion. You know, I have Israelite Foreigner Reading Daily Motion channel, you know. So when the YouTube fucks with my videos, they just, hey, just go there, you know, for now, you know, because, of course, they're trying to get this word off the street. They don't like it when we're coming out here prophesying against Mount Seir, because, of course, this is to our benefit, not so much to Esau's benefit. So, you know, pretty much, though, what's happening is all these nations are beginning to take a proverb against Esau, Edom, coming against the whore Babylon the Great, you know, and getting their missile defense systems. And that's exactly how Magog is going to be now a guard unto them. You know, going to give them the shields, the bucklers, you know, sword, helmet, you know, ready to fight any Western aggression. Because that's what they do. Their secret has always been to send the U.S. whore after them, you know. And that's always been aka Amalek, Israeli states' way is to always send the United States after them, because, yeah, they don't have to fight a long war, so they just do little bombing raids here and there. They never have to answer for it, I mean, so they get the United States to do their dirty work, right? Like that whole killing of Soleimani, which that will die down a little bit, but at the same time, though, this war is going to build up, but what's going to happen is worldwide disasters like what's going on in Australia. Now you hearing about a storm in the Midwest, about to take place, and that's going to shut down a lot of shit, because crops didn't get planted last year due to the storms, and now you're starting to see the differences in the price of eggs, at least around here. You can't even buy the 5 dozen like you did before, for like $8 or $9. You can't even buy them that way, and they limit how much they'll sell to you, so you probably only can buy 2 dozen, and they charge quite a bit for them. And that's just the beginning of many things, other goods that go up, because of course, that's the whole thing, is to manufacture these crises, which Esau has created. He's created all these disasters on purpose, because that's what FEMA is, Federal Emergency Management Agency, which is purposed so that way they can lock people up into them camps. Them old schools, them old buildings that ain't, have been used in a long time. And sometimes even newer buildings of places that just closed, because that's what Kmart became, the local FEMA center. So those that needed a little assistance could go to old Kmart for FEMA. And yeah, that's just it though. Esau's been able to deceive everyone into that, because of course he controls the media. The mainstream media is run by Amalek. So of course they control what's put up there. So Ezekiel 38, this being the year of prophecy, this one's been speaking big time. Ezekiel 38, verse 2. Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and prophesy against him. And what's that talking about? It's talking about Russia and all them areas, And say, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal. And I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, which is what's happening. Russia's being brought into this war. And I will bring thee forth all thine army, horses and horsemen. You started to see a lot of movements back in 2014 when Putin finally came up there and said, look, you mentioned ISIS, and you, whose idea was it to arm these terror groups? And then he moved in his military. All of them clothed with all sorts of armor and a great company of bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. And that's what's happening. All these places are now starting to buy the S-400 systems, because they're building up their defenses. Because they know that the U.S. is going to attack them. Look at this war in Yemen for years. But they ultimately want a war with Iran, which is why all that happened. Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya with them. All of them with shield and helmet, All of them have the S-400 systems. Gomer and all his bands, that's talking about Turkey. And of course, Gomer has been sending their terrorists into Libya as well as Syria. And North Quarters and all his bands and many people with thee. And that's what's happening, they're getting ready. Be thou prepared, prepare for thyself. Thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou guard unto them. Which is talking about Russia. Russia's arming all these countries, because this is going to be the war to end all wars for Esau, Edom, and then they will no longer learn war, as this goes further into. And many days thou shalt be visited, in the latter years thou shalt come back into the land that is brought back from the sword, which of course, Russia has made a huge comeback, and is gathered out of many people against the mountains of Yashala, which have always been waste, but is brought forth out of the nations, and they shall dwell safely, all of them. And that's talking about the gathering of us, we're going to dwell safely. The Most High is going to protect his elect. Yes, some of us will have to die resisting the mark of the beast, resisting the RFID mark. That's just our lot, But we're prepared for that. We will not take it, We won't be tempted to take it, Thou shalt ascend and come like a storm. Thou shalt be like a cloud to cover the land, thou and all thy bands and many people with thee. So many people are going to see this chariot. They've been seeing chariots for quite some time. almost every day now. You're starting to hear about more UFOs showing up, and they can't even hide it anymore. No more X-Files to make you think that, oh, well, this is just a government hoax and all that stuff. They tried to do that. X-Files was quite the opposite. Letting you know that, yeah, there is a such thing as UFOs, but then they flipped the switch and did a recent season, a few years ago, to try to say all of that was a hoax. Well, of course, because, people now know that they've seen chariots at some time. So they wanted it out there, oh, well, you ain't really seen nothing. No, those are just spotlights or whatever, to try to take away from people's testimony, especially us that know that those are chariots, Of course they're going to say that there's no such thing as flying saucers as UFOs. You watch too many movies. Because Esau put that in our minds, That's why he made the video games that he did, and I often go into that a lot, about how they made them easy to where you can shoot down the spaceships and all that, and that Esau's military was superior to the alien ships, the games were very easy to play, easy to win, of course, because that's the minds. To poison the minds, to make everybody think, oh, you're just fighting aliens. Okay, They ain't going to tell you that you're fighting Yahweh Shai and the angels. They don't even call him by that name. They call him by the name of Jesus Christ. They definitely, anything that tells them that he looks like this, that's what they really want to deem as hate speech, The name Yahweh Shai. So now, we're, pretty much being deemed as hate speech to even speak the name Yahweh Shai, to no longer use the names that we were once given, that we once had, because we didn't know any better, Those of us that were brought in Christianity, and we're, learning the heathen ways, celebrating heathen holidays and all that. Now that we're coming out of that and we're standing on 2 feet proclaiming that we're Israelites among the heathen, that we may look like the heathen, but we're Israelites, that there was something about us that was totally different from all the rest of the heathenistic ways, that we might have learned, but something just didn't feel right. Because Rakal Kadash was always with us, just wasn't time to wake us up, and yet at the same time, something just didn't feel right. It's like, I don't feel that joyous spirit that everybody else does, What's so great about getting a whole bunch of gifts, Doesn't that lead to all these other things, being greedy, wanting everything, because that's what these celebrations are, especially that last one, Christmas. It's all about being greedy about what you got, what you have. People don't appreciate what they have. You can take a good look at that. Most people will spend a shitload of fucking money that they don't really have to celebrate that, and then they'll just end up throwing it in the dumpster later. I mean, look at all the fucking bullshit Christmas trees that they throw in the fucking dumpster afterwards. All the lights and all the wreaths and all that. It's just a waste of fucking money. But they sure do market the fuck out of that, just like they do with Halloween and all the others. But, if you're an Israelite, we tell our people to repent of those things. That those things, it's not what an Israelite does, Nor are we to uphold any of those things. We're to uphold the Most High. And we're to uphold the Sabbath. We're to uphold the law, statutes, and commandments to the best of our abilities. Yes, some of us have to work on the Sabbath, Some things we're not able to keep, You're supposed to put a homosexual to death. Oh boy, is that going to get a hate speech, right? You're supposed to put a homosexual to death. You can't do that here. So no, you're not going to be able to keep all the law, statutes, and commandments, but you try to the best of your abilities. I mean, there's just some that you're just not going to be able to keep at all. We're also to eradicate Amalek. Okay, well, we can't go after Amalek, and boy, they've been putting that out there, haven't they? That more victims of so-called anti-Semitic shit, but, there's no proof of it. They just fake in the news stories to make you believe that, because everybody knows, though, that, man, we ain't arming anybody, Police, they pass me by. They can't do anything because I'm not doing anything. I'm not disturbing the peace. I'm just out here speaking. I'm mostly speaking to the camera. Yeah, my sign's right next to me. But I'm speaking this truth, so I'm not harming anybody, so there's nothing to charge me with. That's why you got to be wise as a serpent, harmless as a dove, They passed me by, That's just the way it is, because we are in Esau, Edom, but we are prophesying against Mount Seir. And so YouTube, which is what they are controlling, is pretty much deeming a lot of things as hate speech. And what is to hate something? It means to not like it. Well, I tell you that there's uproars of the people everywhere. That ain't just us, but there's uproars of the people everywhere because they don't like, because that's what hate is, to not like. They don't like the way things are going. They don't like America's hegemony. That are taking a proverb against America. You've seen the way that they had stormed the U.S. Embassy in Iran. Well, of course, these people are dedicated to their leaders. And you see how the people love Bashar al-Assad. But that's not what you hear over here. You hear about how he's this brutal dictator and he's harming people, uses chemical weapons on people, right? But then why do the people uphold him? And you can say the same thing about Iraq. Back during the days of Saddam Hussein, they upheld him. They really looked up to their leader. But you see, that's not what the media wanted to put out there. No, because Amalek controls the media, controls the narrative. But they lost control of the narrative, and that's why they want to get us off of YouTube, because they can't control the narrative on YouTube. So they have to deem it as hate speech. Gotta wave that through. So pretty much, though, what's happening, though, is that all these are taking a proverb, and they've been coming against Mount Seir, and saying that, pretty much, though, they are no longer going to be bound by the hegemony, that they're not afraid of the U.S. sanctions against them, that they will take up the S-400 missile defense system, because they know they're going to be attacked. Muammar Gaddafi, made that mistake, had disarmed, and was promised that they would never attack. And look at what they did. They armed ISIS to go after him, but they weren't calling it ISIS back then. No, but they armed these terrorists to come in, and they overthrew the government of Libya. And that's why the people of Libya now are getting the S-400 systems, because they already know what happened to their leader, Muammar Gaddafi. And the same thing with Syria, They tried to overthrow Bashar al-Assad, but they just wasn't able to, because we know that the day that Damascus gets overthrown, becomes a ruinous heap, is the same time that Babylon the Great gets judged, And this whole place here is going to be nothing more than a ruinous heap, just like Syria, There ain't even going to be anything left of it. It's going to burn forever, which is a very long time. Because look at how long the car fire lasted. That's about 3 or 4 weeks. And that's just a regular fire. This fire, nuclear fire, burns way longer. Look at this. People still, years later are still affected by what happened in Yokohama. Well, then you have Fukushima also, but you've got people that, from the original atomic bomb. They're still devastated. They still have all kinds of problems. And that's just from what was left. So what do you think this is? When 200 million nuclear missiles hit this place, what do you think that's going to do? And you just can't get anywhere near it because radiation, This whole place, man, is going to be a whole lake of fire, because that's what John saw back then. He saw this whole place roll up like a scroll, becoming nothing more than a nuclear meltdown, because that's it, though, is that, you've heard of 3 Mile Island, and you've heard of Chernobyl, but what do you think 200 million of them nuclear missiles would do? Those are just small as compared to 200 million of them. And you already know about Russia's, hypersonic missile. So what do you think that's going to do, But like everything else, though, we're going to keep on prophesying against Mount Seir because, of course, people think that this is a joke, though, that, they don't even take heed to that, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with watching the football game, but you got to pay attention to what's going on, More people are tuned into that, but they're not really paying attention. It's like, look at how close we are. Now, I'm not saying, though, that, World War III is here, but I'm saying that the drums of it are beating, So, Revelation 9, verse 13, the 6th angel sounded, and I heard a voice from the 4 horns of the golden altar, which is before Yahweh, saying to the sixth angel, which had the trumpet, loose the 4 angels that are bound in the great river Euphrates. Well, where is the great river Euphrates? Isn't that right there in the valley of Yehoshaphat? Isn't that right there where Iraq and Syria is? And the 4 angels were loosed, and they prepared for an hour and a day and a month. What's that talking about? The day and the hour that this place, Babylon the Great, shall be destroyed by nuclear fire. But it starts out there in the Middle East. And a month and a year for to slay the third part of men. And how's that going to be? By nuclear destruction. And the number of the army of the horsemen were 200,000, which is 200 million. And I heard the number of them. And thus I saw the horses in the vision, and them that sat on them having breastplates of fire, giving you the description of the hypersonic missiles, the nuclear missiles. And the heads of the horses were as the heads of lions. Out of their mouths issued fire and smoke and brimstone, which is what's going to happen when this place is destroyed. Because Russia is now arming all these countries to come against America. And they will. For their power in their mouth and in their tails were like unto serpents which had heads, which they do hurt. And the rest of the men which were not killed by these plagues, yet repented not of their works of their hands, yet they should not worship devils and idols of gold and silver and brass and stone and of wood, neither can see nor hear nor walk. And pretty much, man, this whole place, Babylon the Great, will be destroyed in 1 hour, in 1 day. And that's why you're starting to hear more about Iran in the news, you know. You know, pretty much, though, they don't even want to talk about it, the fact that Iran stood up to America and destroyed an entire base without any repercussion whatsoever. Why? Because they know that this prophecy will come true. That all these places, including England and all the so-called allies of America, will turn on America and burn this place with fire. Because that's what 200 million nuclear missiles will do. You know, people think that it's a joke. They walk by like it ain't no thing. They're just like, hey, he's talking crazy, man. He's talking crazy, man. That ain't gonna happen, man. These people are nuts, you know. Really? Yeah, they might say that right now. But when it gets closer and closer to that, you start hearing the sirens. Well, it's going to be too late because that's the hour that this place gets blown up. Vladimir Putin said that hypersonic missile can reach here in 15 minutes from the other side of the earth. You know? What do you think these strong archers are? What do you think the S-400s are? They are capable of firing nuclear missiles as well. What do you think they're going to do when they see that their place is being attacked? What do you think they're going to do? Think about it. Because you're just seeing regular fires caused by Esau destroying Australia already. You've seen what the car fire did to, a good portion of this place. Keswick looks like Aleppo now. That's been totally destroyed by Esau. Which were those systems that they had, the energy bombs that they used. They did the same thing in Fallujah to get the people there because they knew that they couldn't fight them, because the people in Fallujah resisted, so the only way to destroy them was to use those energy bombs. And they did, they did eventually conquer Iraq, but at the same time, though, the people of Iraq are now starting to go with the S-400 systems as well. And they're like, sanctions, you already destroyed us. Now you want to, try to cripple us by putting sanctions on us. We're not afraid of that anymore. Look at Iran. They've been putting sanctions on Iran since 1979, since the whole Islamic Revolution began, when they threw out the puppet government and the people declared themselves an independent state, independent, of all these Western pressures. Well, they've been trying to get Iran to its knees. A whole 8-year war, Iran-Iraq war. Who do you think was arming Saddam? Who created Saddam? Who was Saddam best friends with? Dick Cheney, right? Because we know that really it was Dick Cheney running George W. So, of course, Dick Cheney was mad because of the fact that, he didn't get everything done the first time, You can see, though, that all of this, though, leading to the New World Order. And what is the New World Order? To have everybody microchipped. That's why they're causing the wars around the world, the wars, the rumors of the wars. And they want everybody to conform to their hegemony, their dollar, their so-called, delicacies, which the delicacies are democracy, all that. They want everybody else to conform to that system. Yeah, I can see how well that system's worked out. pretty much, though, they are taking a proverb against it, you know? They're not afraid anymore. The weak are saying that they are strong, you know, which is why before, you know, they might have been able to manipulate, but you see, they know that they got the backing of Magog. That Magog is being a guard unto them and is giving them the shields and bucklers to withstand any U.S. attacks. Look at the last U.S. attack on Syria with the Tomahawk cruise missiles. None of them made their targets, you know, and the ones that did were such duds anyways. Didn't kill anybody. So you see that, and those weren't even the S-400s, those were the S-200 systems. S-200s and S-300s. They didn't even have the S-400s as of yet, you know. But Syria now knows how to defend. That's why Donald Trump went after the oil there. Because he thinks that he can do the same thing in Syria that they've been doing to Iraq for years. But eventually, you know, Syrian Arab army along with Russia will eventually get the oil back, you know. And I think that more than anything else is what leads to Amalek destroying Damascus. Because we know that in the same city, you know, the city of praise, the city of joy, Damascus is destroyed the same day and the same hour. Babylon the Great is destroyed. That's why that prophecy hasn't happened yet. Because you hear a lot about Syria, you hear a lot about Iran, you hear a lot about Iraq, but it hasn't escalated all the way to the nuclear missiles as of yet. But everybody knows that they have them. You know, everybody knows that Russia has them. You've seen Vladimir Putin testing them, you know, especially up there in the North Pole area. He's been testing them nuclear missiles, and they've been running drills. And you know what? In almost all the simulation drills, the U.S. loses. They lose in it. You know, that's why Persia's not afraid of them anymore. And that's why they knew that after the killing of Soleimani, though, that they were going to get revenge for that. You know? And it was a righteous revenge, you know? Because, of course, Soleimani was actually, you know, he led brigades that actually did defeat ISIS. You know, because we know that ISIS is nothing more than Israeli secret intelligence services who do the work of Mossad, you know? But they want you to believe that it's Islam. You know, because they use Islam as a weapon, you know, to say that, oh, this is all Islam, which they created the religion to begin with, you know, the Roman Catholic Church, you know, because everybody pretty much bows down before the Pope. That's part of the hegemony too, you know, the false prophet, which is all Esau, you know. Esau pretty much has deceived the entire world. But, like everything else, though, they're now taking a proverb against Esau. That Esau can't control them by religion, you know? And like everything else, though, they are standing on their own 2 feet, and they're saying, you know what, fuck America, you know? We're going to enrich uranium, and we're going to have these systems. Everybody else has them. So when America thinks that they're going to actually go in and try to overthrow the government of Iran, like they tried to do with Syria, because they couldn't quite do it with Syria, that same day, the same hour, when Damascus becomes a ruinous heap, you know, the same time, though, all these nations are going to fire their 200 million nuclear missiles at America. And America will be nothing more than a ruinous heap. And we're looking forward to that. We're tired of this place, man. If you love it here, man, you ain't in the right spirit. Ain't nothing good about being in America. Because everything you've collected or whatever, man, it just gets taken away. You know, you end up having to toss it because of the fact that, oh, well, you got to downsize because you're in a smaller place because Esau gives you a 60-day notice. I'm having to toss a lot of things that I once collected, you know. That's just part of it, though. You can't own anything here without Esau, Edom, you know, pretty much. And the fact that we're coming out here and we're teaching and we're repenting of these things, man, we know that this is not our rest, you know. So, you know, it's like, bring it on. Bring it on, because I have nothing here anyways. You fucking own it all. You know? You own everything. For now. But you see, the Most High is the one that's been controlling you too. You were created to be that. And like everything else, there's a final destination for you as well. You know, we know that once America is taken out of power, guess what? The rest of you are going into slavery. And that's the big thing that Esau is afraid of. That he's going to have to serve slavery. And he's going to have to serve it for 1,000 years. And then he ain't going to exist anymore. No more Edomites. So all of this is good for us, bad for them. And that's why they're messing with the channels. And like everything else though, if you see this thing end up going off of YouTube, just look for me on Daily Motion, where they aren't taking down videos as of yet. For that, I want to say, Rock of the Yahweh, Rock of the Yahweh Shai, Ba'Shem Rukakadash, Wa Abba Babal, which means death to America and death to you 2/3. Shalom.